Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Burns Reviews. My name is John here on Burns Reviews, and if you want early movie reviews just like these, be sure to subscribe, give the video a like, it really does help. And with any further ado, today we were talking about the new Bob Odenkirk, Better Call Saul meets John Wick. These movies could be cousins, man, so let's not waste any time, let's talk about it. Hutch Mansell, a suburban dad, overlooked husband, and nothing neighbor, a nobody, but when two thieves break into his home one night, Hutch's unknown long-simmering rage is ignited and propels him on a brutal path that will uncover dark secrets he thought he left behind. So yeah guys, this movie is easily the most fun I've had in 2021 as far as action movies. I think John Wick 3 is probably the last time I saw an action movie that was this much fun, you know, sort of like a superhero property, which always kind of feels a little too CGI to me as far as watching an action genre. That kind of feels more animated. This feels gritty and real, and it just works. I had some reservations because I saw Bob Odenkirk and I said, you know what, I really like Bob Odenkirk. I like him as an actor, but is this a cash grab? Is this a situation where, you know, they're saying John Wick made a lot of money, let's make a bunch more sequels on a TV show, and you know what, we'll produce this movie too? Is that what they're doing here? And I'm happy to say this is not the case. This is pretty badass. Bob Odenkirk actually trained for 2 years. Now granted, I could say that he definitely brought his A game, but is it as good as Keanu Reeves? Of course not. Keanu has been training since 1999 with the Matrix franchises and all that. Bob Odenkirk, though, does try very hard in this film. You could tell he wants to make that transition from just TV into movies. He's done some movies, but I can now see him as a leading man. He doesn't pull any of his punches, pun intended, and I really enjoyed this movie. You have a great supporting cast with Connie Nielsen, who was in Gladiator and the Wonder Woman movies. You have RZA, the leader of the Wu-Tang Clan. He's in there in the supporting role. Same with Christopher Lloyd, Doc Brown himself. So much like John Wick, you have a nice nostalgic cast of people coming together to really immerse you into this universe while also keeping it kind of fresh. I think Bob Odenkirk brought like a level of gravitas because he's not just fighting them with guns and knives and weapons and machine guns. He's using like his wit and he's using like psychological warfare to beat some of these guys without having to lift a finger. Something that I've never really seen John Wick do. I've never seen John Wick like talk out his way out of a situation or, you know, be 2 moves ahead of the other guy. John Wick always seems to be like in God mode in any video game. You know, he's got like all the cheat codes in there and he just seems like unkillable. You know, it never feels like John Wick is like, I need to think it through. Not really, you know? So I feel like this is really cool that Bob Odenkirk can kind of deliver on that, where it's like he's very human. He feels more like you and me. You know, he feels like an average guy that you can kind of relate to, much like his character in Better Call Saul. It has a great score. There's some great throwbacks in there. You got The Impossible Dream, Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood by the Animals, I think it is. The action, like I said, it's not as good as John Wick. But to be fair, Keanu has been practicing since '99, and Odenkirk has only been doing it for 2 years. But I will say this much. It's miles ahead of, say, like, any Liam Neeson movie that has like 13 cuts of Liam Neeson hopping over a fence. So it's almost as good as John Wick, but John Wick can like kill somebody with his legs. Odenkirk does a lot of jumping and punching, and you know, I feel like you feel him getting beat up more than John Wick, because John Wick almost feels like a god sometimes. This guy, he gets a punch and he goes down, but he gets back up. So all in all, guys, I really enjoyed this movie. The only thing I didn't like about it as far as negatives would be that, A, it does feel kind of familiar, and then when you get to the midpoint of the movie, after the bus scene, the movie kind of comes to like a halt. And you feel like a lot of the conflict has been resolved, and you don't know where the movie's gonna go. And then they introduce the main villain, and we're at like 40 minutes or something like that, and it almost feels like a little late to be introducing a new main villain, but it's fine. And then you kind of have to wait for it to kind of build up again, and then you get to the finale, and my lord, they go all out. And I really enjoyed it. The action is a lot of fun. There's a lot of these moments in this movie where you're like, oh! And how creative some of the action beats are, you know, and the things that they end up using for weapons, the way that bodies go flying, like there's a lot of humor to this movie that I really enjoyed, and yeah, I highly recommend this movie. It comes out in theaters this Friday, and then it comes out in VOD, I think like 3 weeks later, maybe longer, but if you can go to a theater, safely and check out this movie, I would highly recommend it because I watched it at home and I felt like I was back at the movies. You know, so many of these movies that have been coming out in 2020 kind of feel like we've been getting the scraps, the lower budget movies that have been positioned as being bigger budget, but they just feel kind of lackluster because it feels like they're just trying to save money by not putting out their big movies. This feels like a big movie again, and I really enjoyed it, and that's why I'm gonna give Nobody an A-. But anyway, guys, what did you think of Nobody? Do you plan on checking it out this Friday? Be sure to comment down below what you think. And until next time, guys, I've been John, you've been Burnt here on Burns Reviews, and we will see you next time.